FM 90.
Brought to you by Housing Finance Bank, a financial institution regulated by Bank of Uganda. Housing Finance Bank, we make it easy.
Your views, our interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
A very good evening to you and welcome to this edition of Spectrum, coming to you live on Radio 1 FM 90. We are also live on our website, which is www.radio1fm90.com. You click on the icon with the word Listen Live. Now, this radio station is also live on the different radio listening apps. TuneIn, Afro Mobile, Your TV channel, Radio Garden, and Stream Africa. You can also find us live on the different, on DSTV, our audio channel there is 897, and on StarTimes, our audio channel is 97. Today we'll be discussing enhancing local revenue generation, looking at the collections, the achievements and the challenges going forward. As you're aware, local governments are expected to be the main center of service delivery according to the decentralization system. But one of the biggest challenges they continue to face is lack of adequate resources to be able to finance, because what they get from the center seems not to be adequate. But also the center says there's need to enhance local revenue generation and collection to ensure that the local governments actually become self-sustainable and also able to actually address some of the gaps that exist in terms of financing. So today we'll be reflecting on this particular issue, enhancing local revenue. How can we actually do that and also ensure that it's collected? We will also be looking at what has been achieved so far and also the challenges going forward. I have two guests, one in studio, another one will be joining us on the line. But in studio already, I have Mr. James Ogwang. He is the principal financial analyst, and he's also the head local revenue department at the Local Government Finance Commission. Good evening, Mr. Ogwang, and welcome to Spectrum.
Good evening, Kenneth and listeners.
Right, very quickly, let's begin by understanding what Local Government Finance Commission is, please.
Okay. Viewers, Local Government Finance Commission is a body enshrined in the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, with the primary role of advising government on the financing of local government, and in particular concerning the local revenues. The Commission advises government, the presidency, on the potential sources of local revenues that are supposed to be collected by local government and how they are supposed to be collected. The Commission advises and recommends the appropriate tax rates to be levied by local government in this country. The Commission also analyzes the local government budgets every year to see to it that they are in compliance with the legal provisions of this country. The Local Government Finance Commission is mandated to advise the President on some of the sources that are collected by the central government but can be collected by local government on agency basis. On the other side of the central transfers, the Local Government Finance Commission is supposed to advise government on the distribution and allocation of central resources, that is central grants, from the center, from the consolidated fund to the local government. The Commission is also supposed to advise government on the percentage of the the percentage of the national budget that should be transferred to local governments. And in consultation with the National Planning Authority, the commission is supposed to work together to determine the amount of conditional and equalization grants that are supposed to be transferred to the local government.
All right. So basically our discussion today is about enhancing local revenue generation and collection. We'll also be looking at the achievements and the challenges. Let's look at the situation. How are local governments faring as far as generation and collection of local revenues is concerned?
Generally speaking, from 2019-2020 to this date, there's some slight improvement in the local revenues that are generated by all the local governments in the country. Moving from that base year of 2019-20, around 196 billions were collected by all the local governments in this country, that is the districts, the cities, and the municipalities. Last aggregated figure had increased to 291 billion, meaning that there's some slight improvement in revenue generation in this country. But in terms of the contribution of local revenues to the local government budgets, it has remained almost stagnant for the urban local government at approximately 13% of their budgets, that is the municipalities, cities, and town councils. Then for the district local government at approximately 3%, giving an average of national average of 8% of locally raised revenue in the local government budget. In terms of the contribution to the GDP, in the last 4 years, at least, the local governments have improved from 0.14% to 0.18%, which is also reflected in the movement from 196 billion to 291 last financial year. And the target which the Commission had extrapolated for all the local governments in this country had been around 800 billion for all the local governments, and for Kampala City Council, a total of 200 billion. And the expectation is that by the financial year 25-26, all the local governments in this country will have reached that level of 800 billion, and Kampala City Council, a total of around 200 billion, and the target is 1 trillion by that financial year.
1 trillion for KCCA?
No, for
total
of local governments and KCCA.
All right.
And subdivided into 800 for local governments, which include cities and municipalities and town councils. That is 800 billion. Then KCCA, we are expecting them to raise 200 billion.
All right. Now, you set a target of 800 billion, and from your thinking, I think you might have thought that actually, given the conditions that are in place, the local governments can be able to raise. Have you been able to understand why they are not able to hit this target of 800 billion?
Yes. There are a number of factors leading to slow or slight performance in local revenues. One of them had been the data on the taxpayers are not credible enough. In other words, local governments do not have credible data.
Taxpayers register.
Taxpayer registers.
Okay.
Because for them to perform, they need to have a comprehensive list of all the collectible local revenues and have their potentials known. In other words, they cannot collect revenues from taxpayers they don't understand or they don't know. So that had been one of the major challenge in inadequate data.
All right. Lack of data.
Yes.
What is the other one?
The second area had been most of the laws are not enabling enough for them to raise enough revenues. And in most cases, our laws,
they are weak laws, or
they are not enabling, in a sense that there's too much exemptions. There are too much exemptions. A case in point is the issue of property rates. Whereas when you look at property rates, where all properties in this country, one would expect to contribute in terms of property tax, our law exempts owner-occupied residential building, which makes almost 60% of the properties in urban councils. And the controversy there is these are the property owners in this owner-occupied expect services from, say, Kampala City Council, and they are not paying. That is one of the area.
So, so you want even homeowners to actually pay property tax? At
least something they should contribute. The good thing with the property taxation is that all the money is collected from property taxation is supposed by law, at least 75% of the collection is supposed to be for taxpayer services.
All right.
And these taxpayer services are clearly explained in the Local Government Rating Act of 2005 as amended, which includes the construction of roads, the rehabilitation of roads, garbage collection, street lighting and security, amongst others. And our law exempts the owner-occupied from paying this. Another case in point is the issue of the local service tax. Most of the eligible taxpayers, and mostly in the informal sector, are left out of the tax bracket. You may recall this local service tax and the local government hotel tax were put in place to replace the then graduated personal tax, which at least had widened the tax base on that. But now, most of the eligible taxpayers, especially in the informal sector, commercial farmers for that case, petty traders, mention them, the cyclists, all of them are exempted, giving the local government almost no avenue in the collection of this tax. When you go to, there's a tax on, there's a law on agency fee. There are some revenue sources collected on behalf of central government by local governments. This is withholding tax and VAT, value-added tax. The law is very clear in the Local Government Act that when the local government collects, they're supposed to retain some percentage. But this law is not harmonized with the Income Tax Act, which governs the central taxes. And in the Income Tax Act, there's nothing talking about sharing of what has been collected by local government on behalf of central government.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Gwang, there for sharing your views there. We'll be getting back to you to actually dig deeper, but we are now joined on the line by Ms. Sumaya Namuyiga. She's the treasurer, Gombe Division, that is in Nansana Municipality, one of the local administrative units that we have in this country. Good evening, Ms. Sumaya. Thank you very much for joining us on the line.
Good evening, sir.
All right, we want to hear from you. You've heard from Mr. Ogwang here in studio, giving some information explaining to us why most local governments are not actually performing well when it comes to mobilization of local revenues. What's your experience as somebody who looks at the amount of money that comes into Gombe Division and consequently Nansana Municipality? What has been your experience? What are some of the issues that you think need to be addressed to enable you to actually do much better?
Thank you so much. My experience in Gombe Division has been the ignorance of the taxpayers. You find that some of the taxes have been introduced now that this is a municipality, no longer the sub-county setting. For example, property tax, and the community has taken it. It's been very difficult for the community to accept the property tax, and we are trying our best to do that the community engagement, but it's still a very big problem. And being a division in one of the municipalities, sometimes we think we have done a lot, but it is not as much as expected. So the taxpayer ignorance, sometimes people know what to do, but the low economic, what should I call it? Generally, people, the poverty, yes, the poverty. People will say, someone knows what to do. They know they have to pay their property tax, but they will tell you that this is all I have as income. They'll tell you this is all I have as income. I'm divorced. I have so many kids. So we've had so many problems with the community, but we are trying our level best. Then, like Mr. Ogwang said, some of the regulations have not favored us. Every year we find a group of people who have been exempted. Recently, the pharmacies are not supposed to pay local government trade license because apparently they are paying something else to the ministry. The fuel stations also have their exemptions. You find that a number of people are exempted from above, and you're not left with much here at the division offices.
All right, Mr. Gwang, given that explanation from Sumaya, is there actually goodwill to ensure that local governments function the way they were supposed to? Because if then there are exemptions on things like fuel, pharmacies, and then the laws are not enabling, they are the same government put the local governments in place. We have you, the commission, from time to time advising them. Is there a will actually to have local governments function? Because without financing, without revenues, then they are unable to deliver as expected.
Yes, government is trying, and in particular, the Local Government Finance Commission and the Ministry of Local Government, in the sense that we are trying to put in a number of measures. One of them, which I had not mentioned, why we see these revenues not doing so well, is the issue of leakages in the collection. And to control these leakages, the Commission has put in place an automation of a system that digitalizes the collection or the administration of local revenues in the code name of Integrated Revenue Administration System, where one of the advantages that the leakages in the revenue administration will definitely be reduced. And as I told you, the Commission had also identified one of the major challenges, that the lack of credible data for revenue administration. The Commission has been supporting the local government, at least for the last 10 years, on how best to handle taxpayer registers. And a number of them have complied, and now they have computerized registers. To handle the issue of the tax base, the Commission has tried, and I think we have succeeded there somehow, giving technical support in the management of property rates, and in particular with support also from development partners and government of Uganda. We have supported over now 80 local governments in this country to have a credible valuation list for all the properties in the urban centers. We have also advised government to make some amendment of these weak laws, the enabling laws. We have listed up to about 9 of them ready for to be amended, so that it gives the local government the chance to collect enough revenues. We have also been creating awareness amongst the taxpayers, the tax administrators, and the tax collectors. In other words, one of the challenges which we have not reached is the challenge of limited sensitization of the taxpayers. What Sumaya is talking of, the attitude of the taxpayers in this country. We still believe in those days where we think we should not pay some of the revenues to the local governments. That is why you find people try to avoid, in some cases, there's that corruption in the collection like that. So we are now working on changing the attitude of the taxpayers and even the tax collectors to pay willingly to the taxpayers. We have also been organizing and doing studies, research in enhancing the potential sources of revenue. And of recently, we have identified a number of them with the legal provisions available at the disposal of the local governments. We realize that one of the major sources of revenues which are not being exploited is the issue of royalty fees, is the issue of revenues from stone quarrying, revenues from sand mining
generally,
revenue from clay extraction. Most local governments have been not collecting that, but the research on the national resources and the study on royalties have revealed that there's a huge potential there. So we believe with support in local governments, that target of the 1 trillion, if it is followed, will be reached. So to answer your question, there's a lot of measures being put in place to see to it that the local government enhance their revenue performance.
Now, in order for tax collection to actually be effective, like you said, people that you're levying it from must be able to accept and also have the capacity to actually pay. Now, Sumaya talks about one other thing. People are basically poor. How do we address that? People will tell you they do not have money to pay. They will tell you this is the only business I'm using to survive. If I pay this, basically I will have nothing. The business will collapse.
Anderson, I think in my view, this is a rich country. If we have traveled, Uganda is a rich country.
That's what I hear many people saying.
Yes.
But also I hear we do not have enough revenue, so
yes.
we are borrowing. Actually, I've seen government borrowing for local governments a number of times, local government projects.
The issue here is not poverty. The issue here is the mindset. We have to be brought on board. We have to bring everybody on board. And we will only do that one if the little revenue collected by the local governments, by the city councils, are put back to the community.
Properly used.
Properly used.
All right, let's hear from Sumaya. Sumaya, if you're to advise government, how would you want this issue to be resolved? The fact that you do not have enough sources for collecting revenue, you have all these exemptions, but also you hear Mr. Gwang actually saying some of the local governments don't put to proper use the money they actually collect in terms of revenue.
Yes, thank you so much. So I think like Mr. Wang is saying, we really need mass sensitization. We need awareness of the taxpayers. We need to convince the taxpayers that it is the local revenue that we collect from them that is going to enable us deliver the services like we are used to deliver, like we are supposed to deliver the services to them. So I think also the local governments need to invest more in awareness. We should now move away from the community tax workshops and maybe bring sensitization to media houses like radios. I think we need to move one step forward. From calling people at the division offices, you receive 5 or 6 who come, then you do not target the exact community or the exact taxpayer that you want to target. Then also publicizing what we have already done. Maybe we have not been publicizing enough, and also sharing information with the taxpayers. How are we using your local revenue? How have we used the property tax from maybe local government A? For example, in Nansana, we are trying, and that is why the first thing that we thought of when we collected property tax was to procure a grader, such that we can front this as something that is going to be helping us with the poor road network in Nansana Municipal Council. So I think for all local governments, we need to show this community what we are doing with their revenue and how best we can help with service delivery, provided they also join us and we collect this local revenue.
All right. Can you tell us, for instance, in Nansana municipality, how you're using the revenues that you have collected? What have you been able to do so far, apart from the grader that you have given as an example?
Yes, we have a garbage truck. We have also procured a garbage truck to help with the street cleaning. And you find that in all the 4 divisions, we are cleaning our main streets. We have roadside cleaners and we have a garbage truck to help us out. We have that grader and we have planned to procure the roller this financial year, such that because we find that Nansana municipality has a problem of poor road network, and it has been the song of the day. The roads are bad. So we are thinking that if we have a good road equipment and it is complete, we are good to go.
Good enough. I live in Nansana municipality, and from what I have seen, I actually pay a private company to collect my garbage. They come and knock on my door every Sunday. But also the road that I go to immediately after I leave my house, that is that road connecting from the roundabout of Naweru all the way via a place called Jeju, is also a dusty road. We have not seen any sort of action in those areas. What could be happening?
That is why I told you that we have targeted the main streets first, and we are looking at extending to the offcuts of the main streets. But currently we are targeting the main streets of Bombo Road. We are targeting Koima Road. If you have been passing those roads, I think we have tried our level best.
All right, Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90. We're going to go for a break now. When we return, we'll continue to hear from Mr. James Ogwang, who is the Principal Financial Analyst, Head of the Local Revenue Department at the Local Government Finance Commission, and the lady, Ms. Sumaya Namuiga, who is the Treasurer, Gombe Division in Nansana Municipality. Our discussion is about how we can enhance local revenue mobilization and collection, but also looking at the achievements and the challenges. Stay tuned to Radio 1 FM 90. Please stay with us. We'll be continuing this discussion after this break.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
Get ready to experience the enchantment at Sheraton Kampala Hotel, your ultimate destination for the season of seasons. Begin your celebration at Seven Seas Restaurant with a delectable seafood feast. Raise a glass at Equator Bar, savoring the festive delight in every sip. Satisfy your sweet tooth at Temptations Cake, where joy takes a delicious form. Immerse yourself in the lobby's enchanting vibes, where the holiday spirit, accompanied by Christmas carols, comes alive. Sheraton Kampala Hotel invites you to experience the season of seasons like never before. Book your unforgettable holiday retreat now. Call us at 0312-322-499 or visit reservations at SheratonKampala.com. Sheraton Kampala Hotel, your home for the holidays.
Terms of business with Housing Finance Bank and meet your business needs with ease. Get unsecured bid bonds of up to 500 million shillings within 24 hours. That's not all. Housing Finance Bank is also offering other short-term facilities, including performance guarantees, advance payment guarantees, contract financing, export and import financing, invoice discounting, and so much more. Contact our trade finance team today on 0417-707-595. You can also call our contact center on 0800-211-082 or WhatsApp 0771-888-755 or visit any of our Housing Finance Bank branch nearest to you. Housing Finance Bank, we make it easy. Housing Finance Bank is regulated by Bank of Uganda, and customer deposits are protected by the Deposit Protection Fund up to 10 million Uganda shillings. Terms and conditions apply.
We'll dream and grow with you, achieve the impossible, 'cause we're unstoppable if we move this road together. Make this life better, better together with you. So we can do better, better together with you, we can.
What makes us Ugandan is that we are here to improve the quality of life for today, for tomorrow, for Ugandans.
Uganda Development Bank, inspiring development. Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us on Spectrum. We're live on Radio 1 FM 90, live on our website, which is www.radio1fm90.com. You click on the icon with the word listen live. We're also live on the different radio listening apps, TuneIn, Afro Mobile, UTV channel, Radio Garden, and Stream Africa. Radio 1 is also live on DSTV. Our audio channel there is 897, and on Star Times, our audio channel is 97. Our discussion is about enhancing local revenue generation and collection, looking at the achievements and challenges for the local governments in Uganda. I'm speaking to Mr. James Ogwang, Principal Financial Analyst, Head of the Local Revenue Department at the Local Government Finance Commission, and Ms. Sumaya Namuiga, Treasurer, Gombe Division, Nansana Municipality, who joins us on the line. Now, Mr. Ogwang, one of the other biggest issue as far as the capacity of local governments are concerned and the challenges that they face is they actually collect money. Like you said, they collected 160 billion in 2019, 2020. This grew to 291 billion in the following financial year. The biggest problem and the complaint I've had that the center takes all this money and gives them little. So they are just like a collecting point, send the money to Minister of Finance, and then they are given almost nothing, and yet they are expected to deliver services. That's why probably people do not see the services and are hesitant to actually pay more tax. Isn't that a problem that the Commission should look at and probably advise the government that actually most of the money should be retained by the local governments because they are supposed to be the points of service delivery?
Yes, Kenneth. What you are saying, or the allegation which is being made,
it's not an allegation. We look at the figures.
Yes, is not very correct.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
There had just been a change in policy where local governments are not supposed to spend at source. They collect, and what they have collected is transferred to their accounts in Bank of Uganda Consolidated Fund. Then they're supposed to get cash limit on how they are going to spend it, and if there is a complete reconciliation of what has been collected by these local governments, they get all their monies that they have collected. The problem had been that when it comes to budget time, there's this aspect of unrealistic budgets made, to the extent that a local government, say Nansana, knowing that, like for example, last financial year they collected 6.9 billion, the Nansana we are talking of today. Supposing they had made a budget of 5 billion, it means what will be warranted or remitted to them direct would be the 5 billion. Then the other 1.9, they're supposed to request for a supplementary. That is the only difference. But all the monies they collect go back to them.
Is that so? We have actually had a discussion on this radio about this particular issue, and the local governments actually say they receive less. In most cases, they are told they have probably over budgeted. They are always unfunded priorities, things they cannot attend to because they are not getting enough money from the center.
Believe in what I'm telling you, that the problem had been on the budget process. If I gave you that example of Nansana, if they are sure last year they were collecting 6.9 billion, and in their budget, which is put on the IFMIS, is 6.9, all that money is transferred to them. Only that the modality for transfer or utilization has changed, where they first have to put it in the consolidated fund, then it is warranted, then they start the spending. But not that what they collected is what they collect is not given to them 100%.
All right.
The difference had been their budget. If you budget less and you collect more, to assess the other excess, you have to make a supplementary.
What would be the problem if they are allowed to actually collect the money,
Yes.
manage it, and use it as per their budget, and we put in place a mechanism to oversee what they're actually doing? Wouldn't that be better?
Yes, that had always been done, only that to some extent it is abused. And remember, when we are talking of the national budget, the total revenues collected, formerly when it was all the monies were spent at the local government before transfer, they were not reflected on the national budget. But now that it is transferred, and everybody knows transparency, that out of the revenues we have collected this year, this much has come from central government, collected by URA and some MDAs, departments that collect non-tax revenue, plus the portion from local government. It makes now the total collection of local revenues, and it brings in some bit of transparency, and the spending of this money is clear and everybody knows.
All right, let's hear from Sumaya, from Nansana. Your experience on that particular issue. We have had, at least at the top leadership, the local government leadership, there's an association that actually brings them together, complaining about this issue. You collect money, send it to the center, but you receive less. What has been your experience?
Our experience, we have not experienced that in Nansana. And for us, we always receive 100%. And I think we mastered the budgeting process. We have not had issues where we have budgeted less than we have collected, and we require a supplementary, and we fail to maybe submit it in time and not get our revenue in time. That has not happened in Nansana. Yes.
All right. At this point, we'll get some feedback coming in from the listeners who have sent in their messages using the WhatsApp line 0703-090. And I'll begin with Gelvis Turiagenda, who actually writes and says, Mr. Ogwang is talking of broadening tax base, and solution is laws that makes people pay more on the same economy size, and quality is worrying. That leads to overtaxation. Please think about broadening the economy and its quality as a lasting solution. On that particular issue, what are we doing to actually improve the economy on the side of local governments, districts? How can they become more viable so that people in those particular districts can have a potential of doing business and paying more revenue? We have a comment coming in from Francois, who says the abolition of graduated tax killed the main source of local government revenue. Unless that is revisited, local governments will grapple, because that touched every working group. Besides, the local governments have been significantly reduced in size, so reaching out should be easy, but it seems it was on paper just. And whereas tax is non-quid pro quo, not attaching much value on taxes people pay makes them evade taxes. Karamoja is mineral rich, where are the royalties? That says Francois there with that particular comment. We have another comment coming in from Justine. Kenneth, one of the main issues making people to be skeptical about local taxes is the issue of poor or no accountability given to citizens. For example, every salary earner pays local service tax, which is deducted and remitted to local governments. However, where I stay in Mkono, we privately pay for garbage collection by private service providers. Justine, that's the same experience I gave in Nansana municipality. We actually pay private garbage collectors. Then we have a comment from Kanene Johnson, who says, good evening, Kenneth. Kanene in Soronko. These same people are paying a lot of taxes, and if you say they don't pay tax, I don't understand. Paying VAT on water, power 18%, on goods purchased like fuel, soap, sugar, among others. And in return, they expect services from government, but instead the money is embezzled. We expected PDM to support social service improvement like roads, schools, etc., but it turned into sharing fund, since it will be hard to pay back with the same challenges which have been highlighted before likely to occur. That's Kanene there with that comment. Patrick Obonyo Okelo writes in from Busega, says, I support tax payment, but the message is not clear to the taxpayers. The authority should stop generalizing the tax bracket, like saloon paying 260K, yet some saloons are small in nature, especially those in ghetto areas. Let such saloons pay 50 or 70,000. They will be willing to pay. Fill the loophole of tax evasion by big boys who hide under the big god further up there. He says, let the taxpayer feel the effect of their direct taxes by collecting their garbage on time. Do feeder roads also. He says, don't try to ignore those small collection even from the chapati makers, even if they pay 15K per day. He says, farmers should also pay taxes. There should be no exemption. Let local governments utilize 60% of their collection other than submitting everything to the consolidated account. Then demand for accountability. That's the same issue I was talking about. Let's merge some of the small units called districts that so that the money is utilized rather than going into paying wages. That is Okelo Bonyo listening in from Busega. We have a comment coming in from Reverend Canon Awodi John, who says, Ms. Sumaya, let us talk facts. I live near Kayunga Trading Center, Gombe Sub-County. Our roads, including community and access roads, have not been worked on for a couple of years. When I called the town clerk, I was told there are no funds for those roads. Instead, if we can mobilize ourselves as members of the community, the engineer can access some fuel, which will be needed to enable the grader to work on our roads. I know the central government gives some road equipment to help in this. So what is actually happening? That is a comment there from Canon Awodi John, a resident of Kayunga Trading Center in Gombe Sub-County, where one of our panelists is a leader. Then we have Peter, who says it's interesting, funny to say, with proof that most local government taxes are coercively and illegally collected from the locals. Some tax collectors give you one receipt and deliver to office a different one with different amounts in company of the whole tax collection team. That is Peter listening in from Mobende. Let's begin with Ms. Sumaya, who is on the line to respond to some of these comments that have come across.
Yes, thank you so much. I wanted to maybe highlight about the garbage. Currently, we have not been responsible for self-generated garbage, and we have tendered out that service to private service providers. That is the garbage that you generate inside your home. What we are responsible for right now is the garbage on the main streets, the garbage that has no owner. Nobody's going to come and claim it. So far, that is what we have done, and the self-generated garbage is paid for privately. I hope we can do better if we collect more in future. Then I don't recognize Kayunga Trading Center though in Gombe Division, and also to correct you, Mr. Moderator. I have
maybe let me correct the name. It is Kiyungwa Trading Center. Kiyungwa Trading Center.
Kitungwa.
Maybe that, but he wrote, but he says it is from Gombe Sub-County. It might be Kitungwa, maybe a typing error.
Kitungwa. Okay, yes. Sometimes the number of requests are overwhelming, considering the funds that we have put aside for maybe road maintenance in a particular financial year, and we cannot work on 100% of the roads. And we have to now prioritize the roads. And unfortunately, a certain community has to wait until their turn comes up. And you find that the fact that we are working on Maram roads, the rain is washing them away every year. You find that the roads that we worked on 3 years ago have since been washed away. But I want to tell you that we are trying. We have worked on Buambo Road, that is connecting to Kakerenge. We have worked on Kavule that is also connecting to Jagala. We have worked on Lakeri Road in Matuga, and you find that the road network in Gombe is quite so wide. Gombe has 53 villages, and sometimes the number of requests is overwhelming. But we pledge to work on those roads, but we have to prioritize. It's quite a good review from the Reverend.
So we have another comment. Good evening, Kenneth. Martha from Kasangati. How has Kira municipality achieved what they have achieved with neighborhood planning, roads, etc.? I think good leadership is also an important aspect. Otherwise, we should learn from those who are doing well to give incentives to taxpayers. That's a comment there coming in from Martha, who is in Kasangati. She seems to suggest that Kira municipality has achieved through neighborhood planning, especially on the issue of roads. Let's hear from you, Mr. Gwang, responding to some of these comments that have come across.
Thank you, moderator. I do agree most of them are just supplement, but let me talk on two issues. One, the issue of broadening the tax base. In my preamble, I had said that this country, Uganda is a rich country and people have money. Only that the mindset to pay taxes is the one which is disturbing. I'm very sure there are a number of initiatives put by government, actually under local economic development, in most of these areas of mining, where mining is taking place, tourism is taking place, agriculture is almost every part of this country. And now the PDM, the Paris Development Model, is also giving some assistance to the community, at least to enhance their economic activities. Now the question here is not double taxation. The question here is, as any other government, the major source of revenue are always through taxation. And in this case, we are just suffering the issue of a multiple tax system, where there are a number of taxes and revenue sources that can be generated by local government. The only challenge is that as we do this collection, there's this question of interference. Actually, the issue where somebody mentioned on royalties.
I gave an example of Karamoja.
Yes, the local governments, which we have consulted, have informed the commission that they cannot assess this area freely to assess how much, and yet the Mining Act allows them to integrate in their development plans the activities, the mining activities in their area. Then there's this issue of people politicizing revenue collection for their own benefit. This one has also affected the revenue collection. I do agree the level at which local governments are linking the revenue they have collected to service delivery to the taxpayers is still wanting. And if that one is improved, we, as the Commission, believe these revenues in the country can improve. Then on our side, I already mentioned to you that one of the major challenges in revenue administration in this country is the issue of leakages. Where money is collected, you are talking of receipts, and it is not remitted to the government, the local government coffers. And that is why the Commission had to design and develop this issue of the revenue administration system, which is digitalizing the collection of revenue, where we minimize these leakages by phasing out all the manual collection and everything is collected in electronic way.
All right. We have another comment coming in. Hello, Radio 1, Robert from Wakiso here. Allow me commend the Nansana team. They are supporting us slowly but surely. They have partly tarmacked through Jeju to cheap hardware that reduces jam on Hoima Road. But my issue is on the economy's utilization of taxpayers' money. They forgot that a healthy population with access to markets and places of work returns more tax than a sick population with roads full of potholes. So his comments there from Robert Sendaula from Nansana municipality there, where he thinks that they have not paid attention to the issue of having a healthy population. Does this mean probably on health service delivery they are not doing very well? Going forward, how can we improve, especially on the issues of service delivery and thinking about even revenue mobilization as one of the key aspects to ensure that we have good service delivery?
Yes, we as Finance Commission believe there's capacity in terms of revenue generation in the local government. And we believe that we need to highly convince these local governments to at least provide or allocate enough of the collected revenues to provide services to this local government. In the case of Nansana, I think they are doing well. But I think your choice for having them participate here is okay, because as of last year, in terms of revenue generation in this country, what the contribution from Nansana was enormous. They were the best actually on the integrated revenue administration system in terms of collection. And as they have said, I think they have missed some areas. What I know, they informed us, the commission, that they have purchased some 20 acres of land in Busukuma sub-county, and purely for garbage management. And probably in terms of the grader you have mentioned, which they said they have also purchased, they should look for now the productivity of that grader by having it having enough fuel so that they can work in other places. And we think government should come in particular to improve this revenue administration in this country by assisting this local government having all the weak laws, the enabling laws amended so that the tax base is broadened. We believe government should enforce the issue of online collection in all local governments, because we have seen where there are 100% online collection, that is automated system, their revenues have increased almost 300%, including Nansana, which is in the debate. So we believe the issue of supporting local governments in having credible data, because data collection is not a simple task in local governments. They needed money, and for that case, they need to be supported there. And these local governments should be convinced to at least provide enough services out of the revenues they have collected. This will enforce voluntary compliance.
All right.
In tax administration.
Let's hear finally from Sumaya. Sumaya, your closing remarks as we come to the end of this show.
Yes, I want to comment and thank the Local Government Finance Commission. What I did not tell you is that we have greatly improved our revenue performance using the IRAS, the Integrated Local Revenue Administration System. It has helped us close the gap and also have a close relationship with the taxpayers. The KYC, we are able to know who our taxpayers are, and we are able to collect from them in real time. We hope to improve better in the future for the coming years.
All right, with that, we come to the end of Spectrum today. Thank you very much, Mr. Ogwang, for coming over to have a discussion with us. And thank you very much, Ms. Sumaya, for staying on the line to share with us your experience from Nansana Municipality. And thank you very much, dear listeners, for being part of this show. I've been your host, Kenneth Lukwago. Anderson, up next, we have the news in English with Ms. Josephine Dagano. Thereafter, we'll have the Soul Train with BB Jr.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
Brought to you by Housing Finance Bank, a financial institution regulated by Bank of Uganda. Housing Finance Bank, we make it easy.
The views expressed on this show are not necessarily those of this radio station or its management.